Hey there, so today we have another review. This is a beer from New Belgium. I've reviewed this one before. This is New Belgium Dominga. So this is part of the BOGO, buy one, get one from Publix. So obviously you can't turn down a deal when you're buying $6 for a six-pack of craft beer. Especially quite delicious one. I've had this one before. This is their Mimosa Sour. So they actually make a kettle sour with calamansi limes, and they actually call natural fruit flavors, so I actually know what they're boosting it up with. But then they actually use some of the food age beer from their big fooder stock that they make, La Folie and Lips of Faith and all these delicious other, limited beers out of. So it was a really smart idea. Last beer I reviewed that had this kind of concept would be the Goose Island Sophie, which has, obviously a Saison, but then a little bit of mixed fermentation beer in there. So fruity kettle sour with some mixed ferm beer in there. Beer is really nice and pale, like gold to straw color. Got a medium haze to it. Medium minus to medium haze to it. Wonderful white head. Yeah, smells like lobster days. The calamansi is, I think, like a Southeast Asian, more exotic kind of lime. Sort of smells a little bit like key lime. Yeah, if you told me it's like key lime pie kind of thing going on, well, not the pie part, but like key lime thing. It's a very sweet lime. Whereas, I mean, lime's relatively sweet compared to lemon, but it's a sweeter lime. It's got a like confectionery thing going on. Yeah, like a candied lime. Like if it was regular lime, but just a candied. Reminds you a little bit of like, geez, that's a great analogy. I remind myself of like lime gummy candy. I forget what brand. I'm just thinking about like being a kid, a teenager, or Halloween, right? Lime gummy candy. There you go. Yeah, very very aromatic, very sweet. It smells great. Cheers. And then obviously the city's behind that. Pause on the palate, quite lime forward. So the funny thing about this beer is that they call mimosa. That's actually pretty interesting. So I think that might be what they did. They do use calamansi limes, but then on the palate, I imagine there's like some kind of like fruit flavoring in here that gives this kind of like mimosa orange thing, but it's quite limey. So it's like I don't think people associate mimosa with limes, but it's got orange, it's got some lime. It's got some spritziness to it. It's dry, so it reminds you of like sparkling wine, or ideally using sparkling wine, not champagne and mimosa. And actually, not a bad analogy. Actually, not a bad analogy. There's a little bit of like lime and orange juiciness to this that sort of reminds you a little bit of mimosa. Obviously, way lower in alcohol, right? This beer is 6%, so yeah, probably lower than your ABV than your. I mean, pretty close maybe, because like your sparkling wine might be like 10-11%, and then a little bit of splash of orange juice, so you're cutting it down, so who knows. I honestly just like this as a beer, not really the analogy to mimosa, but it is bone dry, which is quite nice, which is pretty interesting for like the beer that's mostly kettle sour. And then like there's got to be a little bit of mixed ferm beer in here, right? That's what they advertise, but they don't say it on the label. But I suspect that's possibly pushing maybe a little bit of like dryness to this beer, like accentuating dryness with that like bone dry fooder beer. A little bit of doughy malt in here, but yeah, it's really nice and aromatically fruity. Really nice, like punchy fruity up front without being sweet. Like it has all. It's very oily in citrus. It's calamansi with that oily orange character. Somehow they've used like the wrong kind of like flavor ingredients in like Juice Force and Fruit Force to make it seem artificial. Here, it actually tastes like there's like tons of actual like now that my bar has liquor, we make old fashions, and like when you do that kind of like orange zest, when you zest it, the peel onto like an old fashioned, it sticks on your fingers. It makes the whole bar smell. It makes the glass smell. It makes the whole drink smell. Right, like it's a very oily experience. This is what you're getting: oily limes, oily oranges, on a really light kind of doughy malted like pale beer, dry beer, acidity. I didn't mention acidity. Let's talk about acidity here. It's not a sour beer. It's a tart beer. Yeah, the tart beer. So they call sour here, but it's more tart, right? I wouldn't say this is sour. It's like a lime orange tart ale, and it's dangerous too. At 6%, like this will do you damage. Honestly, I prefer if it was like 4 or 5 or something, but it has no hint of being 6%. I think again, we've talked about this recently. Moving towards alcohol sensitivity for people that are price sensitive and alcohol sensitive, so they want their price and bang for their buck for the alcohol. So don't put this at 4%. They push at 6, just like the Cryo Ranger I just reviewed. They push at like almost 8%. They want the alcohol. They want the damage done. So I guess you're getting a value in a world of like inflation and economy and all that cool stuff. So the beer is actually just very tasty. Again, I wish it was more crushable at like 4 or 5, but it's crushing. It's tasty. That's really good. I think it's just as good as the last beer I just had. The Cryo Ranger. I think it's just as good. Yeah, they obviously do very different things, but quality wise, I think they're just good. Yeah, sure. Why not? 93. 93. That is Dominga Mimosa Sour. Another crushable beer. Very well produced from New Belgium. I'll probably pick up a little bit more because, I have the BOGO going on for 3 more days. So buy one, get one, $6 a 6 pack. You can't beat that. And even if you don't, obviously, even if you don't drink it immediately, fridge it. Last a few weeks, a month maybe at best. At least in my world. You can keep it in the fridge maybe. This sour will last a little bit more. So until next time, cheers. Later. 93. Later.